Welcome to the first live Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping teachers navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, a full-time educator and personal financial coach and speaker. And I'm here to help every teacher, whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck, to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life. I'm excited to be wrapping up this school year with a final episode as I reflect on and consider what I learned about frugality this season. So frugality was my topic of choice. Every season I like to have a theme, something I return to again and again, especially in my individual episodes, but I also look for guests that come into that theme. And I started out this year thinking I was being pretty frugal. In fact, I would look at my budget and say, well, what else can I do? But then I started to say to myself, I need to make a change. So let's find something. And I went on this treasure hunt for how to be more frugal, which is why frugality was the topic of my season. I wanted to learn more about it. So the biggest thing that I learned is that you can always find more money to cut. It might take some sacrifices, it might take some changes to your life, but there's always more that you can cut out of your budget if you are willing to take that step. I discovered immediately upon this journey that I was overspending on food. The thing is, I thought to myself, well, I'm spending the average amount that someone would spend for a family of four, so I'm okay. But then I realized, who wants to be average? If we are trying to be financially independent and get ahead of the pack, you cannot settle for average. So I dove into meal planning, making sure that I'm choosing inexpensive ingredients that are healthy and taste good. And I was able to slash my food bill in half, which has allowed me to have so much more flexibility in other areas. So I talked all about this in a previous episode, so I'm not going to go into the details of how I did it, but my question was, where am I average, and therefore, where can I improve? So I think that's a first one, where you think, I'm just doing okay. That is an area where you can likely make improvements. Something else I learned about frugality is that when you are being frugal, you are saying no to certain things, but you can also say yes to other things. So when I was able to cut back on that food spending, I suddenly felt so much freer. I'm not sure what it was, but I was sitting in this place where I felt like I just was not making any progress. And I cut that food budget back, and suddenly there was breathing room. And when there's breathing room, I was able to make intentional decisions. I was able to ask myself, is this the direction I want to go? And sometimes the answer was yes. I was able to, of all the silly things, replace the cover to my hot tub because it had broken. And the reason I did that, the reason I made that choice, even though, buying a $500 hot tub cover is not a, frugal thing to do, is because I had set aside the money for it. I had planned for it, and I wanted a richer life. It's something that I truly enjoy, is sitting in the hot tub at the end of a long day and having a chat with my wife. Being able to do that mattered a lot to the richness of my life. So by saying no to high food costs, I was able to turn around and say yes to buying the hot tub cover that we had been missing for about a year. So it was a wonderful addition back in my life by saying no to one thing and saying yes to something else. Another thing that I discovered as I was, following this, and it's not much of a discovery, but it's the frustration of seeing these fixed costs and wanting to do something about it now. So realize that there are some things to frugality that just take time. I have a relatively high, for what I would like, it's not super high, but I have a relatively high, compared to previous places I've lived, mortgage. It hasn't worked out that I've been able to get it lower because my insurance rates have kept going up. When I bought it, I was like, oh, this is fine. And then my insurance keeps going up and up. And it's just every single month, it feels like it's putting a bit more strain on my budget than I would like. And because I have that fixed cost, as I learned when I was talking to Ray Tran, that peace of mind isn't always there. That I could have if I was renting and could just pick up and leave. I could easily change my fixed costs if I didn't have this place where I had to be because I have this mortgage. So I'm, instead of getting upset about it, I'm just trying to tell myself, well, it's a long-term goal to reduce these fixed costs, to find some way to handle that. Now, I am considering doing Airbnb, as I talked about with Susie from Susie May Wander, about Airbnb in your own home, especially when you're on vacation and things like that. I'm considering doing that. I'm going to work on that at the beginning of this summer to see if I can make that work, and that will help reduce those fixed costs because I'm turning my home into an asset. But just remember that there is some long-term thinking here, right? I also had a truck payment because I crashed my other truck. I had to get a truck payment because I didn't have the full funds to buy a truck outright, which happens. And I was able to pay that off this year because I made that my focus, my intentional focus of things that I wanted to do. And by paying that off, I was able to reduce those fixed costs. So asking yourself, okay, I've got these major fixed costs. What can I do to reduce those? You can identify those smallest ones or those easiest ones and bring those down, and then have like a midterm plan to bring down the next ones, and then a long-term plan to bring down the ones after that. So that has had a great impact on my budget, the frugality of the long-term thinking of how can I reduce these fixed costs. Now, there are other things that I thought were really interesting about frugality, and that's, it doesn't have to just be these big things. People talk a lot about the big three. Food, yes, that was great. I brought my food down. Transportation, I got rid of a car payment. Housing, I'm working on that. But there's a lot of small things for frugality that we can work on, and making those intentional choices that will allow us to get out of this overspending, this luxury spending mindset, into the frugal mindset. Now, if you remember at the beginning of the season, I talked about how luxury is high value, high cost, while frugal is high cost, or high value and low cost. That is the mindset we're looking for. How can I get the most value for the least amount of cost? So we started looking at different areas that we can do that, right? You can bring down your cell phone bill. Most likely, if you have a cell phone bill from any of the major providers, you can find an alternative for much, much cheaper. We talked about internet, how just a simple phone call can bring down your internet costs, and so forth. There's all these small things. So just look at all those little small things and just ask yourself, would a simple phone call reduce the amount that I'm spending on this? Would I be able to just make small adjustments to my life that will bring these costs down? Could I live with my house being 1 degree warmer in the summer and 1 degree colder in the winter? Things like that allow us to make small adjustments that slowly compound into great effects over time. Now, frugality is something that if you get into this mindset, it can become a game. It can become something that you are just always searching for ways to reduce that. And it's really fun, actually, because that anytime you say no to something, you can say yes to something else. So I like to review my numbers every month and just say, hey, what did we do that can bring us into a more powerful space, a more frugal space in this next month. And by doing this, hide and seek, search through your budget to find those areas that you can reduce your costs in, you're really able to slowly make those 1% adjustments. I often tell the story of a pilot who takes off from the equator wanting to fly all the way around the Earth. If they get their autopilot off by 1 degree, by the time they get back all the way around the Earth, they'll be 500 miles away from their original desired destination. That 1 degree for that whole trip around the Earth makes all the difference. That 1 degree or 1% difference that we make, that 1% change that we make in our life every day, can make all the difference, especially in a year-long budget. Now, when I was looking at my budget, the things that I was able to notice was that I was driving a lot because I had my son in daycare at the beginning of the year. And by cutting that down, I was able to just keep him home more and not drive so much. And, that's something that we were able to cut costs on, not only on the daycare, but also on the driving. You're just looking for those little tweaks, those little areas. Now, the other thing that I've really enjoyed about what I've learned on this journey is that frugality can lead to fun. Because remember, you're going for that high value and that low cost. And when you're doing that, you don't say, well, I can't afford it, I won't go. You say, how can I afford it? And that subtle mindset shift can allow you to do all sorts of things. I remember talking to Dan about points and how you can use credit card points to be able to travel more without spending more, because you are using that forward mindset of, okay, I want to be able to go to Europe. And once again, this is not a short-term thing. This is a long-term plan. So if you have this long-term plan that you want to go to Europe in, say, 2-3 years, the frugal mindset says, okay, I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to get all of the credit card points and things lined up that I need to do. And then I'm going to execute that plan over the next 2 to 3 years, and I'll be able to go to Europe and have that enjoyment without the cost. While the luxury mindset says, I'm just going to throw on a credit card and it'll all work out. Remember that putting things on a credit card is the exact opposite of the frugal mindset every single time. I have really enjoyed being on this journey of learning about frugality. It has made an immense difference in my life, because I've been trying to be more frugal and intentional about that, looking at my budget, studying it, every dollar going exactly where I want it to go, and saying, okay, this didn't go where I want to go this month, I'm going to tweak it so it goes there next month. Making those adjustments every single month has made my life go from stressed, worried about my money, feeling like I'm behind all the time, which could just be that I have these unrealistic expectations of myself. If I need to be saving more, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that. But I went from that stressed mode to feeling just light about it, feeling like it's all going to work out. My favorite moment from this whole season was when I was able to go with my wife on vacation and not be stressed about it. We spent money kind of recklessly, okay? We said, we're just going to go out to eat anytime we want. We're going to go to this activity. We're going to go do that. We're not going to worry so much about the cost of it. And I was able to have more fun because I wasn't sitting there counting pennies the whole time. I was able to have more fun because when we got home, I wasn't stressed about the credit card bill that needed to get paid now. And I was able to have fun because I had said no to other things, so I could say yes to going on this trip. And that is what is really unlocked for me. Frugality is not about living on rice and beans. It's not about just having a boring life where you do nothing, you just stay home, you can't do anything, you cut all subscriptions, you cut all this, you cut all that. It's about choice. It's about knowing what you want and aiming for it. But also not just aiming for it, but aiming for it in the most efficient way possible, the most efficient money way possible. You're trying to find that discount, that coupon, that way of doing it this way so you can get it less. That way you can go around the long way, so that way it costs less along the way. Whatever it's going to be, making those intentional choices will make your life so much smoother, so much happier, and you will just feel relief. Now, I wanted to just close with a message to teachers, because I'm hoping that you are all listening. And we're coming to the close of the school year, and I just want to say bless you. I am so happy that you are out there on the front lines with me, educating our youth here. And I'm hoping that you will take these lessons that you're learning about frugality, about money, and that you will instill this into them. But I also hope that you get to take a break and that this summer you're just going to relax and have a good time. And I'm going to challenge you because we're coming up on summer and you know that I really don't like working outside of contract hours. I'm going to challenge you to take no thought of work over the summer. Don't do it. Don't do any planning. Don't do any preparation work of any kind. When the school year starts, now we're talking about frugal with our time. That's when you get to ask yourself, okay, I've got this much time before the students come back. How am I going to get everything done that I need to in this much time? And that will allow you to start making those intentional choices. Instead of just saying, I'm just going to do it the long way that I've always done it, you can find ways to save time. AI has been a powerful tool that I've used to save a ton of time. I just discovered a new app today that will talk back and forth with my students and give them personalized feedback on their writing as they talk to them and ask questions. And it doesn't tell them what to do. It asks them questions. I'll talk more about that one when I've learned more about it. But just like I'm asking myself, okay, I want to give feedback to all of them. I need to save my time. I need to be frugal with my time. And that's just one example that popped up just today for me. But when you're in that 2 weeks before school starts and you only have that much time and you haven't worked it all during the summer, so you're nice and refreshed, then you find those ways to save that time, to work only in those contract hours. And if it doesn't get done, if your classroom isn't perfect, if the borders aren't all straight, if you don't have a magical experience like they're walking into Hogwarts when they come into your classroom, you can tell yourself, it's okay. I give you permission to be okay with that because you are being paid for your contract hours. No more, no less. It is vital that you are frugal with that time, maximizing the value, minimizing the cost, because you increase that cost as you work outside of your contract hours. So I'm challenging you to do nothing over the summer. Enjoy that. I'm actually going to work over the summer. That's because I'm being paid for it. I'm doing credit recovery, and I'm also a part-time administrator, I've said, so I'm getting administrative hours that I'm doing over the summer. But when I'm off of those hours, I'm off. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not doing work. And I'm going to take a break from this show. So for those of you that are just now joining the Teacher Money Show, I take a break over the summer because I enjoy my summers and I want to be thinking a lot less about work. So I'm going to meet you guys back here in the fall, in September. And as we are, just going through the summer, enjoying that break, enjoying that time off, I want you guys to remember that as a teacher, you are already rich. Your wallet just needs to catch up. See you guys.